Well, we're going to start this morning, though, with breaking news. Michael Bloomberg will be on the debate stage tomorrow night in Nevada, qualifying with the national NPR PBS NewsHour Marist poll that just crossed this morning. It shows the former mayor surged 15 points since December to second place, now at 19% among Democrats and left-leaning independents. Bernie Sanders took the top spot at 31%, up 9 points. Joe Biden is in third place, but dropped 9 points since December, now at 15%, followed by Elizabeth Warren at 12, Amy Klobuchar at 9, and Pete Buttigieg at 8%.
Guys, yeah, I'm sorry.
Wow, Bloomberg is, well, he's making a difference here.
He really is. And Guy Cecil, of course, we heard, just like we heard with Donald Trump back in 2015, you know what? His ceiling's 5%. His ceiling's 9%. He'll never get into double digits. According to this latest national poll, he's now close to 20%. And again, be really easy to say national polls don't matter. We're about to have a national primary on Super Tuesday. And depending on what happens in Nevada and South Carolina, if these numbers hold or if Bloomberg gets even stronger, well, suddenly national polls like this among Democrats do make a difference. What do you make of the Bloomberg surge?
You know, I think there are only two questions remaining in a primary that has gone on for quite some time. The first is, when do Bernie Sanders and Michael Bloomberg start attacking each other on the airwaves? And the second is there a chance for a third candidate to make it into a top three that actually matters? And what we're seeing from this poll is that Joe Biden and Elizabeth Warren are flirting with that 15% mark that qualifies you to get delegates by congressional district and by state. And we see Amy Klobuchar rising. And from my perspective, the question is whether or not it's Biden or Klobuchar or Warren that make it into that third spot. But really, the big question is whether or not we see Michael Bloomberg direct some of his millions of dollars, and frankly, Bernie Sanders directing some of his on the airwaves in these states towards negative advertising, because ultimately that's the only thing that will change the trajectory that both Bernie and Bloomberg are seeing over the course of the last couple of weeks.
So, Guy, are we being unfair to Joe Biden when we look at the first two contests, overwhelmingly white contests in Iowa and New Hampshire? You couldn't have picked two states, really, that suited Joe Biden worse as the first and the second. Should we wait until after Nevada and South Carolina to see how he does in more diverse states? Or do you think the die's already cast?
Well, I don't think there's any question that Joe Biden needs to come in the top three in Nevada and needs to come in first in South Carolina, even to survive to Super Tuesday. We had a poll out yesterday from Data for Progress that had him in fourth or fifth place. This really is a do or die time for the Biden campaign, from my perspective. And placing in the top three in Nevada is probably a must. Placing first in South Carolina is an absolute must. We've been seeing a pretty steady decline across the board nationally, but also in Super Tuesday states. This is his opportunity to turn it around. And in order for him to do so, it has to start in Nevada.
So, Joe, just kind of a question pulling back a little bit. Obviously, everyone knows that I am a huge fan of Joe Biden. But so the focus of this question might be interesting to some, but just when everyone looks at the strategy of Mike Bloomberg joining this race, of maybe thinking, oh boy, what happens if Biden falters? I could jump in, I could save the party. But isn't there a huge possibility here that the equation will be that he helps Bernie? We don't know what he's going to look like on Super Tuesday, if he's really going to come through. It could be Bernie Sanders because of Bloomberg. Does that make sense?
Well, that depends on what happens in Nevada and South Carolina. If Joe Biden scores strong, if he comes in, let's say, second in Nevada, which he said he has to do, if he wins South Carolina and wins it convincingly, which is going to be difficult, but he could do it. If he does that, then yes, you'll go into Super Tuesday, and Bloomberg could be taking from Joe Biden, could be taking from Amy Klobuchar,
from Pete Buttigieg.
Could be taking from Pete Buttigieg, and could actually be locking it down for the Socialist Democrat. That being said, if Biden doesn't do well in Nevada, if he doesn't finish second in Nevada, if he doesn't finish first in South Carolina, you're going to see a flood of defections moving away from Joe Biden, and likely, from what all my sources are telling me, going to Michael Bloomberg, and that includes a lot of black legislators, a lot of Hispanic legislators, all moving to Michael Bloomberg. So, and if he has a weak showing in Nevada, you will probably see that between the Nevada caucuses and South Carolina. So Joe Biden, his back is up against the wall. He's got to do really well in Nevada and really well in South Carolina. And Gene, even if he does that, Joe Biden's going to still be short on money and is going to have to hope that the name ID that he's accrued from being 8 years of Barack Obama's vice president carries him through Super Tuesday, because money certainly won't.
Yeah, the best case scenario for Biden is that he goes into Super Tuesday, as you said, hoping that name recognition and familiarity and the fact that he's been around for a long time and that people like him, it takes him to a reasonable finish in Super Tuesday. And it's not clear that would happen, against the torrent, the tsunami of Bloomberg ads in those states and Bernie's, Bernie's appeal in the same. I mean, if you look at the numbers in that Marist poll, number one, you always have to give props to the candidate who's ahead. And look, Bernie Sanders seems to be consolidating a lead. To my conventional political brain, it looks like Sanders has something of a ceiling, maybe 35% or something like that. But guess what? Conventional political brains thought that Donald Trump had a ceiling in 2016, and he's the president of the United States. So we keep that in mind.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.